Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I go over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. Okay, so I wanted to take a quick second right at the start and just talk about tariffs once again because of the new changes, and I want to just clarify for my American friends how everything works, and apparently I'm the most qualified person here as a Canadian to talk about American things. The simple answer is right now, thanks to the de minimis exemption that you guys have, which basically means that you won't be charged extra taxes and fees on any purchases under $800, you are still safe from any of these tariffs and all that sort of thing. Now, this is being looked at April 2nd, so it might change then or it might not. The reason that you aren't paying those tariffs yet is because you don't have a way to collect them yet. The government is trying to implement that. So the soonest that I guess you guys implement a way to collect those tariffs from each individual person when you purchase items. So if you go and buy a $1 item from AliExpress and suddenly it's $32 in fees, that is the reason. So you're going to have to wait on all that sort of thing. As soon as the de minimis exemption goes away, that is when you get charged all of your tariffs and things. So I guess it's still a good time to purchase all of your handhelds as long as they're arriving within a few weeks, because things might change on April 2nd, but I'm willing to bet it's going to take longer than that for you guys to implement some sort of way to collect tariffs. WinLater 10 beta is out. Native glibc has been added for better I/O performance. A few other fixes and changes, and I've seen some great results from people using this new update, so it seems like it might be a must update for anybody on an older WinLater. RPCS3 on Android had its first release last week, and now we actually have an update. The changes here is adding USB device support and DualShock and DualSense controller support. Things are happening on the RPCS3 on Android front. Get ready. Sonic Unleashed has been recompiled into a PC port, so you can now play it on your PC through Windows or Linux or whatever you want. This is great news for those of you that like Sonic games, but the big news is our next topic, which is connected to this. Thanks to the work that the team did in recompiling Sonic, they've released a tool called Xenon Recomp, and it converts Xbox 360 games into code, and then you can recompile it for Windows and Linux, and so on. For those staring blankly at the screen, this means that we could soon see other Xbox 360 games on PC with improvements. I don't know about you, but the moment that Lost Odyssey or Blue Dragon is available, I am there. To this day, it still bugs me that both of those games are still stuck in backwards compatibility and they can't be played on a PC at all besides remote play, but it seems like that might change really quickly and really soon, and I am all here for that. Azahar Emulator has released its source code for their upcoming emulator. Reminder again, this is the upcoming 3DS emulator that is made by the developers of Lime 3DS and the Pablo Citra fork. Now, I'm pretty sure that everybody in the emulation community is waiting for this, so by them releasing the source code, I don't think it's going to be much longer until we get an actual release. Question of the week. Is there an upcoming, rumored, or whatever that we know of handheld that you are extremely excited for and can't wait for? Now, this question comes because I was taking a look at a video I did about a year ago, actually it was pretty much exactly a year ago, on upcoming and rumored handhelds for 2024. At that point, I made an entire video. It was like 25 minutes long, had a whole bunch of different devices, everything we knew was coming, all of that. This year, I was like, maybe I should do the same thing. And then I realized, besides MagicX, which would be cheating, I can't think of or know of any devices that we have coming up with blueprints or some sort of any information that's more than some sort of a rumor that is like a third tier rumor. So it seems like things have dried up this year quite a bit, and it's very interesting compared to last year at least. And so I'm wondering, out of, I guess, what we know of is coming, which isn't a lot, is there anything that you're excited for? Or are you feeling like me, where like, what's coming next? Like, I think it's kind of exciting in a way, and it's also weird in a way, because we are so used to knowing a lot of things up ahead, and this time we have nothing, so it's weird. Now, my answer, of course, and I'm going to cheat and use an x86 device instead of a retro handheld, but it is the Zotac Zone 2. I loved it at CES. It felt great to use, all that sort of thing, and I cannot wait for it. It needs some changes on the specs before I completely jump in, and I have a feeling that Zotac might not be the best company to release this device given the Zotac One, but I have hope. I am waiting to see what that looks like. I'm excited for it, so we'll see, but that's my choice. Now, some exciting news, and Abxylute is back with the One Pro. I've actually spoken to Abxylute for a little bit, and they have some other things in the works as well. So it's not just the One Pro that's coming, they have a few other things that might be of interest to the people in this community. But this is their sequel to the Abxylute handheld that released a while back. That was a streaming-focused handheld, one of really two in the market with the G Cloud. And while it was an overall decent handheld, it did fall short in a few areas, and it did need some work. However, I actually really liked the Abxylute, and so I was waiting and excited for them to release a sequel, and now it's coming up. They are claiming more power here, which makes sense, and they are actually advertising PS2 and GameCube as playable. This will have full-size sticks, which is a great upgrade, and they say they're capacitive, so I'm curious to see how that affects anything. Sound has been upgraded, and there's video output, which is awesome. And it's hard to tell, but I think they might have upgraded the shell a little bit, but it could go either way. Now, I asked for more information, and they were nice enough to share it with me. So here is a quick first experience look at the actual specs of the One Pro. The first is the CPU it's using, and I had a lot of trouble finding this, but it is a MediaTek 8370, which seems to have little to no information on the web. Now, I did find that it might be using a Mali G57 GPU, in which case it might be as strong as it's advertised, especially with the CPU specs. I could see this being a bit stronger than a T820, but we'll have to see. I'm in the dark here. 4 gigabytes of RAM is probably a miss, I think, in my opinion. Again, if this is a streaming-focused handheld, which the first one was, then okay, maybe I could give a pass on 4 gigabytes of RAM. But if you are advertising PS2 and GameCube and Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, all of that, I don't see how this is going to be good. 64 gigabytes of internal storage, again, that is low. Genshin, Call of Duty Mobile, and a third game will eat up all of that 64 gigs, and you can't put those games on an SD card. So you are stuck, absolutely stuck. So this is a mismatch in specs and advertising currently. 7-inch 1080p 60Hz is again slightly unfortunate here, given that we have seen 120Hz displays. Now it doesn't say OLED, so I'm guessing it is an IPS display, and it's probably or might be the same one from the original Abxylute, but my thoughts here is, okay, I could do with the 60 Hertz if that is the only negative, but now we've seen the RAM and the storage, and now we've seen the Hertz, and this has to be really budget priced with these specs currently. 5200 milliamp hour battery is fine, again, for streaming. 430 grams weight, which is the same as the Odin 2 Portal. And then all of the other usual fixings like video output and that sort of thing. Okay, so without knowing the price, which could be doing a lot of work in this scenario, the specs don't look great on paper. 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, 60 hertz display, all of this does not look good. However, if it's priced properly and correctly, this could be a very good, cheap streaming device. If that is your plan, if you just want a big 7-inch device for streaming, and the G Cloud you can't get because it's super expensive and the used market might be a little bit tough to get to, I know, trust me, it is very tough, then yeah, I could see this. But in my personal opinion, my guess, this has to be under 200 US dollars, ideally 150 US dollars. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what the price could be. If it is over $200, this is a tough sell with these specs. The number one differentiator here being that 7-inch screen, which we don't see a lot of. So you're going to have to see a big jump between an Odin 2 Portal an Odin 2 Portal compared to this. But this can't be in that 240, 250 range. I don't see it. So yeah, this is a weird one. From just a streaming perspective, then yeah, I could be okay with these specs. That would be fine. Pricing being the number one issue. But if we're talking about playing Genshin, talking about playing Call of Duty Mobile, playing emulation, well, not emulation, but any of the Android games, the games can't be moved off of their internal storage. So that 64 gigabytes of internal storage is not going to make sense. So I'm hoping that they make some changes here or explain, I guess. But I just have specs to go off of. This is early, so we'll wait and see. I'll continue reporting on this as I get more information, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I am actually going to need somebody to explain Ayaneo's choices to me. Look, I get it. Every week we are saying something about Ayaneo, but it just keeps happening, and I don't understand, and I don't have an explanation here. So I need somebody to explain this one to me in the comments. Please just explain this rationale to me. The Ayaneo Pocket Micro Classic is up for pre-order. This is exactly the same as the Ayaneo Pocket Micro was, except they removed the two sticks. Now, in my opinion, that's awesome. Great. I asked for that in the beginning. That is a great thing. However, the price starts at $180 for the 6 gigabyte version, with black being the only color available. And if you want the retro gray or the retro gold, it is $240 for this. On top of that, there is a $35 DHL shipping charge. But now if you're curious why I am confused, the Ayaneo Pocket Micro at launch was $189. This is $179. So they took the cost of the sticks out, $10. And now they are selling this one. Okay, so even if there was a world where $10 made sense, which this doesn't make sense, we are months removed from that release. There has been big changes in the world from that release. $180 for this device does not make sense. It didn't when I reviewed the Ayaneo Pocket Micro. It didn't, and it still doesn't. So no, I don't get this release. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. $180, nobody's going to buy this for that price. Especially, okay, it is not just $180. At $180 plus $35 for DHL shipping. No Canadian will buy this because that means we are going to pay duties and taxes on that DHL, which if you're an American and you're laughing right now, get used to it because the tariffs are going to have that same effect on you pretty soon. But we pay duties and taxes on DHL charges. So this will be another 30 Canadian dollars on top of that. So you might be paying like 400 Canadian dollars. I don't know, my math is bad. But even for US, 180 plus 35, you are 215 US dollars. The Retroid Pocket Mini is still cheaper than that. The Retroid Pocket 5 is right there. And I know they're different devices. Well, Retroid Pocket Mini isn't really that different, but this doesn't make sense. Why don't you introduce 4PX shipping and we can get it for a lot cheaper? $180 at least is a lot better to swallow. If it was just $180 shipped, like everybody else kind of does, or even if it was $10 for 4PX shipping, that is a lot easier to swallow than $35 for shipping. $35 for shipping on a $180 product is 20% of it. You're paying $20 or 20% in shipping charges for this thing. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. I got no more comments on this one. I just want to let you know it's available for pre-order if for some reason you want it. MagicX has showed off their specs for their Zero 40. This device is a bit weird. It is a 4-inch screen with a 480 by 800 screen. It is running the all-winner A133P processor that is the same one in the Brick and the Smart Pro and all those devices. 4,300 milliamp hour battery, and all the usual Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and that sort of thing. The screen makes it very close to a 2x scale for Nintendo DS, but instead it is a 1.9x scale at 3.7 inches, so there will be small black bars on the top and the bottom. I have no clue on pricing and all that sort of thing. I think this will be a very niche use case device, but let me know if this is on your radar. So we finally got some news on Retroid's other handheld that was hidden away in that picture, and it turned out to be a Retroid Pocket Classic, and it is a vertical. They showed off a picture of 7 different colors, and they secretly hid the one on the left, which we're going to talk about separately, but there is a Saturn, purple, pink, yellow, teal, green, and SNES. So my first question is, which color do you think they're going to discontinue first? I stole that joke from my Discord. It made me laugh, so I had to include it in the newscast. Thank you, Molson. Now, at first glance, the non-centered menu button and start and select really bothered me, but that'll make more sense in a second when we talk about that hidden device. Otherwise, single speaker is weird, but sure. I could use a good vertical handheld. Maybe this is the budget Ayaneo Pocket DMG that we've all been waiting for. And surely this has to have an OLED screen, right? But honestly, at least they were honest in their marketing of the scaling issues this time. They have the grid right there on the screen. I stole that joke too. I am a stealer of jokes. Thank you, Molson. Guy was making me laugh when this was released. No idea of specs and price and all of that, and likely in a few days we'll find out, so no point in guessing. Time to talk about that hidden device though, and it is a 6-button version of this. So it is the Saturn device, and you can see why those buttons were not centered on all the other ones. They needed room for this device specifically. Now, I know a lot of people have asked for 6-button devices, so here you go, and it is a vertical. They also released a picture showing the back of the device, and it very much looks like a Miu Mini Plus style back buttons, which is great. So I see no point in guessing specs or pricing at this point. We'll know in a few days or a week, whatever, so we'll talk about it then. But one important thing that I do want to mention here, with 7 different colors and Retroid's current history with colors, we really need to see real life pictures of all of these before ordering and before shipping. I know this is a weird ask because it should just be a normal thing in any sort of device or hobby that you should see actual real pictures of a device before you purchase it, but that doesn't happen here. I'm pleading with Retroid, please share actual pictures of these colors so we can avoid what happened last time. And that way we can have a good idea of what these look like. Let me know in the comments. Excited for this one? Not excited for this one? Why or why not? Let me know. More Retroid news, and we have an update on last week's talk about the Retroid Pocket Mini display issues. Turns out there is no fix available for the screen, so if you want to return the device, you can. However, you have to pay for shipping yourself. On the one hand, it is great to offer an extended return window, but on the other hand, I don't know how many will take advantage of this when they have to ship to China on their own dime and all that sort of thing. This also should not be hidden in a Discord, and the only way that you find out is because of my newscast or my Blue Sky posts or whatever. But there's also some confusion about this policy because a user emailed in on Reddit trying to do it, and the response they got from Retroid was less than good. It says there is no inherent defect with the Mini, and they can't offer a return. Now, by the earlier wording in this post, it seems like maybe the user didn't buy it directly from Retroid. I am just guessing, trying to give Retroid the benefit of the doubt here, but without seeing the original email that the user sent in, it is hard to tell. Now, I'm only sharing this so we can get some information from Retroid on what exactly is going on, and not in a Discord post that nobody will see. We need to know, is returns or are returns available for this? Is there some sort of restrictions on it? All of that sort of thing. We need to know all of this information. But either way, as I talked about last week, when it comes to Retroid, you really should be careful about ordering right off the bat. This is a perfect example of why. Last piece of the Retroid newscast, apparently, but the Retroid Pocket 5 grip should be coming out in middle of May. So if you've been waiting for it, not much longer, you'll have the official grip pretty soon. March just started, and a bunch of us are diving deep into the Romhack of the month and the Game of the month on my Discord server. Game of the month is Super Princess Peach for the Nintendo DS. I tried voting for Fire Emblem and Radiant Historia, but I got outvoted. So Super Princess Peach, which ended up being an actually really cool platformer. I've never played it before, having a ton of fun with it. So yeah, it is a nice, casual, just fun platformer. And Romhack of the month ended up being Pokemon Fool's Gold, which is basically Pokemon Crystal or Pokemon Silver, and it is entirely different because all the Pokemon have been redesigned. So where Cyndaquil was a fire-type Pokemon, it is now an ice-type Pokemon. Totodile is flying, Bellsprout is metal or something. Every Pokemon looks different. They all have different types now, and it is actually really cool. It makes it fun to go through all of that again and not knowing the types of the Pokemon you are fighting. So it's super fun. Come join the Discord, play some games. I don't know what you're doing. Stop buying more handhelds, play some games. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is back with more skaters, new parks, new tricks, new music, and a whole bunch more. They are basically doing the whole 1+2 pack all over again for 3+4, and given how good the 1+2 was, I have high hopes that this will be just as good. What am I playing this week? Well, aside from the obvious Game of the Month and Romhack of the Month, I've been playing a Fire Emblem ROM hack called Enderin Saga. Now, this has been on my radar for a long time. I'm actually working on a Fire Emblem ROM hack video, which will be out pretty soon. But this is one of the more recommended ones. There is a controversy with this that we won't get into with the creator, but the actual hack itself is actually really fun so far. And I'm going to give you about 9 others in an upcoming video, and we'll talk about that. But either way, that is exactly what I've been playing, as well as Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass that just got retro achievements, and God of War Ragnarok on the modern game front. So I'm doing a few different things this week. Let's get into some Q&A. Newscast at joeysretrohandhelds.com is the email address, or you can come into the Discord. There's a channel there for you to submit questions. A little bit light this week, so if you want to send in some things, just send in some things. Email or Discord, you have choices. This is a funny one because this question comes in from Speedforce on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter anymore, we'll explain. How would you like the idea of a foldable retro device, provided the seam isn't intrusive? So this video came in through Twitter, and again, this is funny because I don't have Twitter anymore. Somebody made an account with my name. Mine is deactivated. It should be deleted in a few more days. I don't know, but it's gone completely. I won't be there anymore. So somebody took it upon themselves, made a Joey Retro HH Twitter account, and this guy tagged them and asked this question. And I know who made this account. It was a joke, but either way, I want to answer the question because of that, but you should also know I'm not on Twitter, so don't be tagging me there. I'm on Blue Sky. Find me there. But anyways, this question comes in because of that Samsung foldable gaming device that everybody saw and are going crazy over, but it is most likely just a proof of concept, never will exist, all that sort of thing. And so my question, or I guess my answer to this question is, I don't have any sort of feeling towards a foldable gaming device. I don't see it. I don't think you could get away with it not being intrusive on the seam, especially if it's folding right in the center. Otherwise, if you folded it at the controls, that would be cool, and it's not on the screen. But I don't know. I don't see it. I don't need it. I mean, it'll make it more foldable and easily pocketable for sure if you could fold these things up. But we are years away from any of this being available in our little niche or any of our gaming handhelds. So I don't know. It's a cool thing that I think breaks down once you think about it more and more. That's the only question we had this week. So again, newscast at joeysretrohandhelds.com, or come to the Discord, post it in the channel, and we'll talk about it next week. Appreciate you all for watching, and that's all from me, Middlesex, England.